I think you'll find it's a bit more complicated than that. Collected Journalism, Essays and Papers by Ben Goldacre. Read by Jot Davies and Ben Goldacre. To Whom It May Concern, and Archie and Alice. Introduction. This is a collection of my most fun fights, but the fighting is just an excuse. There's nothing complicated about science, and people can understand anything if they're sufficiently motivated. Coincidentally, people like fights. That's why I've spent the last 10 years lashing science to mockery. It's the cleanest way I know to help people see the joy of statistics and the fascinating ways that evidence can be distorted or ignored. But these aren't personal attacks, and I'm not an angry person. All too often, people hoping to make science accessible fall into the trap of triumphalism, presenting science as a canon or a collection of true facts. In reality, science is about the squabble. Every fight that you'll read in this book over the meaning of some data is the story of the scientific process itself. You present your idea, you present your evidence, and we all take turns to try and pull them both apart. This process of close critical appraisal isn't something we tolerate reluctantly in science with a grudge. Far from it. Criticism and a close examination of evidence is actively welcomed. It's the absolute core of the process, because ideas only exist to be pulled apart, and this is how we spiral in on the truth. Away from the newspapers and science TV shows, you can see that process very clearly in the institutions of science. The question and answer session at any academic conference after somebody presents their scientific research is often a bloodbath, but nobody's resentful, everyone expects it, and we all consent as a kind of intellectual S&M activity. We know it's good for our souls. If the idea survives, then great. If it needs more evidence, we decide what studies are needed next and do them. Then we all come back next year, tear the evidence apart again, and have another think. Real scientists know this. Only the fakers cry foul. In short, this book has a manifesto. Check the evidence and fight back against anyone who tries to stop you. Along the way, you'll get a grounding in statistics, study design, evidence-based policy, and much more in bite-sized chunks, because while my last two books, Bad Science and Bad Pharma, were polemics with a shape, this is a racing collection of short pieces. As such, I hope it works as a kind of statistics toilet book, bringing satisfaction in short bursts, with a fight and an idea in each one. So, in the section of this book on surveys, we laugh at the stupidity of the nuclear power industry, some silly anti-abortionists, and Stonewall, who I actually adore. Or, if you prefer, we learn about the distortions of participant bias, misleading question design, and a sticky problem involving a complex time-dependent variable. In the first piece of the book, we cover some surprisingly unprofessional behaviour from a baroness, professor, and previous director of the Royal Institution. Or, if you prefer, we cover post-publication peer review and why the conventions of academic journals are helpful. These pieces cover 2 decades of work. There are lots of Guardian columns, but also academic papers, a report for the UK Education Minister, my work in the Romney Hythe and Dymchurch Railway Gazette, the odd undergraduate essay, and more. If I'm honest, it's pretty soulful, for me, not you, looking back over 2 decades and seeing what's changed. I was in my 20s and barely out of medical school when I started writing a column in The Guardian. As time passed, the targets got bigger, my day job took me through postgraduate qualifications and grown-up battles, and I think I got better at pulling claims apart. There was also discipline from outside. Writing about other people's misdeeds, collecting ever greater numbers of increasingly powerful enemies, and all under British libel law, is like doing pop science with a gun to your head. So for that, thanks. At the end, I might tell you a little about how I work, why I do what I do, who made me, and how things have changed over the past 2 decades. For now, Let's just say I'm very grateful to all the many companies and people who, by their optimistically bad behavior...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?